Okay, so the national conversation on race has stalled out. We're stuck in an either-or paradigm, but what we really need, I believe, is a both-and approach to race relations in America. And you know, whether you think that we talk about race too much in this country or not enough in this country, on some level, excuse me, there's a whole other conversation that we never even get to have because we get stuck. I've noticed a phenomenon over the years of doing presentations on race relations, and I call it this hidden demographic. A hidden demographic of people across the country who really would like to engage differently, more authentically, across lines of race, but don't really feel that they have a way in. And they've, as far as on the spectrum of things, they've maybe gone to an event that's more based in academia, sort of activist modality, activist academic, and there's a lot of value there, but they don't quite resonate. On the other end of the spectrum, there's like sort of a corporate diversity approach that also doesn't resonate with this hidden demographic of folks. They might see value in it, but it doesn't fully resonate. And they put race under sort of a bigger, broader umbrella of diversity. So what usually happens is, oftentimes, these folks in this hidden demographic don't have experiences that engage their whole humanity. For people of color, oftentimes, that I've spoken to over the years, it's like they feel they're being oftentimes put on in a narrow strip, having to represent their race, and not, again, engaging their whole humanity. A lot of times, a lot of white people get stuck in either guilt or denial, and then that gets them jammed up. So, for example, myself, as a white man, moving through the world, I'm a human being, I'm JG with my personality, who I am as an individual on the inside, but I'm also walking down the street, I'm a white dude. Now I'm a white dude with a cane since I started using that because of my blindness. So, you know, on some level, if I act like, you know, my white manness doesn't afford me certain advantages on some level, to me that's the denial. You know, but if I act like I should just feel bad just for being white, that's like the guilt trip. And neither of those things, they're non-generative. They don't generate anything. They're negative emotions. We can't build from that. You know, how do we build out of that? And again, it doesn't engage our whole humanity. Whether you're a white person or a person of color, it doesn't engage our whole humanity. So I started doing this project and started sharing some of my books, writing with folks, and I had people, white, black, Hispanic, different people who all said essentially the same thing to me. Not everybody I showed to it, but people from each, you know, any race said, "Oh, so you want to just water it down for the white people?" And I said, "No, I don't want to water it down for the white people. I want to engage white people. I want to engage all people in this conversation because we're not having this conversation. And I don't believe it has to be watered down at all." And so I like poet David White, Irish poet David White, talks about responsibility not as a burden, the word responsibility, but back to the core, the root of the word, ability to respond. What's our ability to respond to one another? Why do people do volunteer work? It feels good to do good. It's human nature. It feels good to do good. Philanthropic works. Somebody needs a home. Let's build them a home. Habitat for Humanity. Let's come together and build someone a home. Hey, look, we built someone a home. It feels good to do good. It's human nature. Okay? And in terms of, it's a generative process, whereas this negative guilt denial stuff and the other narrow strips are non-generative, can't build from that. So we have this generative process. So then that leads me to the question of, how can I be an ally? What does that mean to be an ally? If I'm not bogged down in guilt and denial, what does it look like to be an ally? I'm going to just wrap it up with this idea of the value of mainstreaming. If you look at the civil rights movement historically, these ideas were brought into the mainstream. We changed the norms. How do you change a social norm? It comes maybe from the edges, but it has to be mainstream to really impact ultimately. And now you look at the gay rights movement, looking at marriage equality, rapid changes that are occurring, in large measure because being mainstream, there's a huge value in mainstreaming these ideas. And at the end of the day, everybody wants to be treated equally. It's one word, it's just equality. So I thank you, and I welcome you tomorrow night to a conversation we could be having at Winchester Thurston. We're having a concert and a talk hosted by Kimberly Gill from KDKA. One love, peace. I think I'm done. Thank you. Thank you so much.